Welcome to the SWBL podcast presented by 1356 Public House. I am your host, Bryan Benware. And before I introduce tonight's guests, I have to make a couple corrections from previous podcasts because I have been taking all kinds of slack for it. Spencer Bogad was a 3-time MVP, not 2-time MVP. So I have to say that. And then the Athletics were not an original franchise. I think I said that twice. They actually came into the league the second year of the franchise era. So now that is out of the way, let me introduce my guys tonight, my friends. John Calloway, the brand new captain of the new franchise, SWBL White Sox. How you doing, Johnny?
I am doing well, Brian. I miss you. Miss the Astros, but excited to take on this new venture with my crew.
Yeah. We're going to miss you too, man, but we're excited for you and pumped to see what you do. And then Edloe Donnan, some people did rank him number 1 in the player rankings. We don't know who, but he was ranked number 1. So congratulations on that feat, Edloe. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Can you imagine what would happen if somebody didn't rank me number 1? I would have been out of the top 20. And I don't think that's deserve it,
No, for sure not. Yeah, especially after you win so many championships. So
that's exactly right. It's a team sport, so team stats are what matter. So
right. Well, tonight, guys, we're going to talk about the schedule release. The schedule just came out, and we're also going to just kind of touch real quick on the draft. The draft just happened this week, and we're going to kind of dive in a little bit to game 1. Edloe does the color commentary on that, so I'd really like to get his impressions of last year, and he's also doing it again this year, so we'll kind of dive into that specific game as part of the schedule, but really, that's kind of what we're talking about tonight, so let's just jump in, all right?
Sounds good.
Cool, so let's just start with the draft. We'll touch on this real quick. We had 4 rookies drafted this year. The Expos took a familiar face around the SWBL park in Jack Light, so the youngest rookie to ever play in the SWBL. The Athletics took a former baseball player at Drury, Evan Quo. And then the Rockies took 2 rookies. Jason, I'm going to say it wrong, buddy. Sorry. Worstenholm, maybe?
That
and
sounds
Adam
good.
North. It looks right. This is the way it's spelled. So, Jason Worstenholm and Adam North. They are both MOWIF captains in the MOWIF League, our sister league. And they have wiffle ball experience, so we'll kind of see. I know we don't know a whole lot about these guys. I think we probably know the most about Jack, who's been on the earth a lot less time than these other guys, but expectations. What are your guys' initial thoughts on these rookies?
I'll take the first stab at this, Edloe. So start with Jack. Absolutely love it. From who we are as a league perspective, but also in the sense of he might actually get some at bats.
Yeah.
But it's been really cool to see Jack grow up, and how he's just grown athletically. Because Jack's always been that kid that every single season has run around, hit balls, thrown them, and he's been taking some good strides over the years. I feel like these past 2 years, he's really grown physically.
Yeah.
Which is really cool to see, just from, again, who we are as a league, right? Family oriented. We all put a heavy emphasis on that. And whether it is true or not, that move could potentially be a move where Jack is leading the league, 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that's doing everything that we're doing, right? So I think there's a probability that happens. But speaking towards Evan, I actually know Evan really well. We play golf a lot whenever he's down in Springfield, and I actually play on their Drury alumni golf scramble group every time.
That's cool.
And obviously I'm not a Drury alumni, but we also played softball together when he was still in Springfield. Really crafty dude. I think the Cardinal division should be a little scared of him, honestly. I think Evan might have a tough time adjusting with speeds, but at the same time, that dude has made so many balls dance, where if that translates in the slightest, which we know it doesn't always, the A's might have found their ace for
Mhm.
the long term.
Sweet. He was a pitcher at Drury, right?
Yeah, southpaw, and
Oh,
he cut
really?
people up.
Lefty too, huh?
Yeah, he cut people up, dude. And he was like all state guy at Parkway Central. Yeah, so if he has any ounce of his actual pitching game with baseball translates, it's gonna be scary.
Good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other
Actually-
thoughts, Edloe? You want to touch on maybe the Rockies?
Yeah,
youngster?
well, I mean, first of all, I actually know Evan Coe well. Played baseball with him a little bit. Very nice guy. I agree. Apparently, there's the rumblings are that he's some weird little wiffle ball freak, and he's been playing his whole life ever since he was like 2, born with a bat in his hand. So he could be very good. I was looking at his Twitter, trying to kind of see what kind of guy he was. Is he the same guy he portrays online as I know him? And it looks like he just tweeted on March 7th. He said, "Hey, FedEx, you have lost or stalled a package for 2 days that contains family sensitive information." So he's having some trouble with FedEx recently. Let's hope that does not affect him in the coming season and he gets that figured out. I wanted to touch on Jack Light. I haven't seen him play in quite some years, really. I've only seen him practice. And what I've seen in him practice 2 or 3 years ago, I have no doubt I could 3-pitch strike him out. And if he's going to pitch to me, I'm going to take him over the wall every time. However, the fact that I haven't seen him in 2 years and people are talking so highly of them does kind of freak me out to see if he's gotten that much better. So,
Yeah. Well, the White Sox will have to face an Expos led team by Jack Light twice, but you and I don't have to. Jack actually played in summer league and got a good amount of at bats too. I can't quite remember, but I know he did a post game interview. So I know he got a couple of bats, made a couple swings. I saw him hit a couple almost yard last year too. So he has grown. I do remember like coming into the league. I think that first year he was like our official scorekeeper. Remember, he was running around with chalk and writing on that old chalkboard.
yeah, he had trouble with his sevens. I think hopefully he got those the right way around this time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, those other 2 rookies, the Rockies rookies, Jason and Adam, they've got wiffle ball experience. They do play fast pitch, so they're not going to be as far behind the curve. Fast pitch to slow pitch, we've seen guys struggle that come in nationally, but we've also seen some of our Rookie of the Year winners come out of that pool of people who've got wiffle ball experience. So that kind of leads me to my next question. If you had to pick out of these 4 guys, the kind of leader, the preseason leader and the Rookie of the Year award, who would you pick to win that award?
I can't speak for Edloe, but I feel like the unanimous decision should be Evan, just given his sheer athleticism and the talent that on the surface he has on the other guys. Man, I mean, speaking towards the whole Rockies dynamic, it's been pretty shattered, I'd say, over the past year or two with how many transitions have taken place, and this year Kyle leaving. All fantastic dudes. Really enjoy them personally, but they're a tier 2 team. I hate to say it, but I think this year is going to be pretty rough. And signing 2 guys like that feels like them just trying to patch something together and throw Hail Marys to hope it works, right?
Yeah.
Like Blake and Bryan can only do so much in these scenarios.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting, and I'm going to do an interview with Blake to preview the Rockies, but everything I've heard is Grant used to pitch and was a heck of a pitcher. So we'll kind of see what happens on the mound with Grant. But the other two guys, like, I don't want to take a lot away from them, but they also played in the summer league too. So they're a little bit familiar with our style of play. I mean, I know there are different rules with summer league, but I think that if you had to bring in new people, like having guys who are semi-familiar with our style, our field, who play wiffle ball, like, it's a smart move on Blake's part for sure. But
yeah, I think
maybe, but like, why? But what does it say? Because they're just stacking.
Yeah.
Like, do you not have confidence in your guys then?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think Evan is probably the chalky pick. That's who you think you want, guy who's got some real athletic talent. But I feel like when you sign with the Rockies, you just become weirder and more of an enigma. And I just kind of want like a real wild card pick. And that's why I'm going with both of their guys. That's who I'd want. I'd want either of those guys because I don't know them. And I think when you're the Rockies, you're just going to be kind of a little bit off. And I like that in a wiffle ball player.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me to see any of those three guys win it. I think the fan favorite's going to be for Jack. I think everybody's going to be rooting for Jack to get it for sure. And honestly, like with the Rockies, as we were kind of talking about piecing a team together, I feel like on the A's, Evan's going to get a lot more playing time compared to, is Blake going to hit 5 or is he going to hit 4? And so one guy's sitting, and then, is it going to be one of these two is the number 2 pitcher, or is it going to be that thorough rotation of like a number 3 pitcher and you're giving Grant more time on the mound too? So it could come down to innings pitched. It could come down to at-bats. And I think Evan might have a little bit bigger of an edge in those categories. So, well, let's move on and start getting into the schedule a little bit. Game 1 was just announced. And if you didn't see it, it is the Expos at the Astros. So that rivalry is going to be featured in Game 1. And a big reason I asked Edloe on tonight was because he is the color commentator, like I mentioned. So I kind of wanted to get pick your brain, what your experience was kind of behind the scenes, but also, just being a part of that last year. And then maybe kind of where you see that aspect of what our league is bringing to the social media with Game 1. Like, where do you see that going in the future?
Yeah, I think Game 1's such a fun thing to do. It's a cool experience, and there's a lot of good creative guys in the league who can make these videos and the highlights that are just really fun to watch. And a lot of people told me last year they loved it, and they had a great time doing it or watching the video. So I would like to do it every year if Sam has me back on. And I also think that it's going to move towards doing, one a day. So there'll be a Friday for first game of the year. There'll be a Friday, maybe a Saturday, and just try and set them up and do a few times a year. But yeah, I think it's just a really cool experience. I'd like to do them all that way, but obviously it just takes so much time and effort. You couldn't do it, but I really like the team selection for this first game too. I think when you get two teams that just hate each other as much as the Expos and Astros do, I mean, up and down the roster, just like arch enemies. Back and forth, they really just don't like each other. That's when you get really good fiery games. And I think the Expos, coming from their championship down to last year, I think they're in a make it or break it year where they have to either prove that they're good enough to win it again or just make everybody realize that championship year was a fluke. And I feel like you guys on the Astros are a prove it year too. You guys have been building, getting better every year, and you need to take that next step before I don't know, maybe there's a shakeup or something coming. I could see it.
Yeah.
I was going to just kind of echo a few things, but to the emotion, right? Like, we got a lot of emotionally driven dudes on both of those teams. Some that let it fuel them and some that impact them pretty negatively, right? And Edloe, I would say that last year, the Astros did prove a point. And not to pat my own back, but there, obviously is a gap to fill with my leaving. That's a reality from the statistical perspective. And I think, and my hope is, because I have a lot of confidence in Bryan as a captain and coach, is they're going to be coming out with like full 110% throttle. And I think the energy from winning the division carries right over to Game 1, first pitch. Like, guys are going to be even hungrier.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, that's my hope, for sure. One thing historically, we've never won our first game, so that's something that kind of plays into a little bit of a monkey off the back aspect of that. But we have had success against the Expos lately. We were the only team to beat them twice the year they did win the championship. So we put up, I forget what the run differential was, like 23-4.
Jesus.
Or something crazy. But at the same time, you got one of the best pitchers on the Expos in Jimmy. And now they also have their second pitcher is a former Astro too. So that kind of plays into this storyline as well. So with this game, I wanted to ask you guys, so pick a winner and then give me a score prediction.
Well, I'll take that one first. I think to me, the magic that they created when the Expos won it was just everything that they had in the tank. I think I don't know if they have anything left to carry over. I think it's good for them that they're getting 2 games out of the way on the first day, so they don't have to worry about being too hungover on Sunday and having to knock out a couple of them. So, but I do think that the Expos come out real slow, and I could see the Astros winning this game by a mercy rule at 12-0. That's my official prediction.
See, so similar. That was my thought logic, minus the mercy, but I do think it's going to be 10-1. I think they're going to get. I think like Expos will go up 1-0 in the first inning. Astros maybe put a blank up, and then it's just
pour it on
downhill pour it on them. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Like, even though we knew how the White Sox were shaping up and that I was leaving the Astros before the end of. Did you guys hear that?
We did.
No, we're good.
You need to go?
My wife's probably gonna. Yeah, she's got it.
It's a family show, everybody.
Is that Palmer? Sorry. Let him write it out. He's calmed down. Once he jumped out of the crib.
You never know that Calloway vertical.
Yeah.
Like 4 inches. But no, I think the emotion and the drive has been there ever since like the final game of last season for the Astros.
Mhm.
And I know Benware has been in those conversations, and I'm out now. But like talking to some of the guys, they're ready to get back and win.
Yeah, it's been a long off season for sure for the team.
What's your prediction, Brian?
I have to abstain because right now I'm the host of the podcast. But you know, the games have always been good between the two. You know, they beat us early on in our franchise, and then we've had some success, like I said. So I imagine it's going to be good. You know, it feels a little bit like the Expos are going to have a bit of a new look. So it's kind of hard to say exactly what's going to happen on their side. But even if they take some steps back toward, you know, a formidable team from last year, I don't know if it's more of a rebuilding year for them.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. But I'm not going to do a prediction. I hope we win, but it should just be fun to be a part of it for sure. So after that, guys, let's just jump into a little bit more of the schedule. So first impressions, like when you got a look at the full schedule for the weekend, what were your first impressions? And it can be, you know, your team if you want. It can be something like if it stuck out to you, you know, right away, even if it wasn't your team. What'd you think?
I feel like outside of the Marlins, everybody's going to have a lot of very long days. You know, it looks very fairly spread out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a little bit, and we'll get into each team a little bit, but there's a couple big gaps for a few people. But especially one team, like I think it actually helps them a little bit having a huge break that they have. But what about you, Edloe? Did you have any initial thoughts, or was it more looking at, you know, the Twins schedule?
Yeah, so obviously Sam got my threatening letters that I've been sending him for the last 3 years to stop scheduling me at first in the morning, because I don't have a first in the morning game. And it's crazy because this is the first year ever that the Twins have not had two 7:15 a.m. games.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to realize that if you get a reputation for drinking and having fun, you get preferable schedule treatment. He puts you later in the day because he doesn't want you to show up. And being that I have, you know, Chris Metter, who doesn't drink very much, and Spencer, who's usually pretty moderate about that stuff, we won't talk about him. He loves to get wasted, but they know that we're going to be up in the morning and that we're going to be there. So he can just schedule us whenever he wants. So yeah. I see the schedule, and what I can definitely see happening is a rain delay and him just taking wherever the Twins are and just putting them, you know, Sunday at 6 a.m. So yeah. I know that's going to happen. And I like the schedule how it is now. but I know that at some point Sam is going to find a way to personally screw me.
Yeah. Well, you guys kind of lucked out. You have no games on Friday either. And then you didn't end up with any games to start a day either. So I'm not really sure how you did that. Maybe Chris and Spencer just said, we're going to boycott if we have to play an early game. We're not coming. And Sam said, we can't do it. And then obviously he's scared of you. So whatever you said in your letter worked. So
yeah, it's squeaky wheel gets the grease. And I've been in Sam's ear for maybe 13 years now to stop scheduling me like shit. So he finally did it for the first time. So I don't know what I did, but I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the Twins real quick. What were aside from that, did you have any other things that kind of stuck out to you? We'll kind of talk about each team as we go. And since we're on the Twins now, let's just jump into them. What I thought was I wrote, it seems really balanced, but you do have 2 games Monday. So, that's the one thing that kind of stuck out. I think 2 games on Monday is not a bad thing, especially if you're getting hot right before the playoffs. And we all expect the Twins to be in the playoffs. So did you have any other thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that this division that we're in is just a cakewalk, and there's literally no chance we don't make it out winning the division. So really, if you're just going to save a game to the end of the day, like our last game is Marlins, which, depending on who they pitch, I know they got a couple weirdos that throw some crazy stuff in there, but our last 2 games on that Monday are a Rockies team that we all are kind of thinking is on the downturn, and then a Marlins team who's not really shown and proved anything yet, although I do like their team makeup. I think they're going to do better this year. I think we kind of walked out with it with just the luckiest and easiest schedule we possibly could have had. So
all right,
very confident in this one, and I think it's going to be another trip to the playoffs, and it is the year after a championship, so that almost guarantees we will not win the championship. You never win 2 in a row for us, so but we'd like to get to the playoffs. Maybe a nice couple of playoff games, and then afterwards lose the championship and go jump in the pool. That doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, crazier things have happened. You guys were the first team to ever break the preseason ranked #1 curse that happened last year. So, it's been a while since we've had back-to-back winners. In fact, I can't even. Was it the Rays?
Don't even say. Don't say the team name. We don't want to hear any more about the Rays. But yeah, it was.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I don't want to hear any more about the Rays.
All right, Johnny, what did you think of the White Sox schedule?
It's pretty spread out. I think if we're just looking at this from any team's lens, it feels like we got screwed a little bit with having the last game on Friday and then the second game on Saturday. But here's the thing. A majority of our team probably perform better in the morning. Ty doesn't drink. That dude is laser focused, and he's going to be, one of the cornerstones of our team defensively and batting leadoff. But then the beauty of Jackson, I think he does better when he's blacked out. So the way he performs is like a bell curve. There's a breaking point, but when he's at that apex, I'd say probably 8 to 11 drinks.
Uh-huh.
And then it starts going south. But again, my hope is that 8 a.m. we're not at the top of that bell curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe from the night before.
Yeah, still from the night before.
But here's the beauty. I always stay with him, even if I'm not on his team.
Oh,
nice.
Okay.
Right. So
you can just be giving him bloodies first thing,
dude. I know, and dude, Yankees, be in his basement. I'll walk up the steps, get him a water, some G2, a few pills, open his mouth, just guzzle it in. Yeah. Then massage it a little bit, and then he's ready. Give him 10 minutes, get him a McMuffin, and he's Jackson Ace. Right?
Yeah.
And then I think, got really dependable guys, right? They're willing, and this sounds kind of funny, just talking about football, but it's they're so dedicated to winning and want to be consistent in whatever they do, whether it's wiffle ball, work, family life. We got a set of dependable dudes.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
Derek out of everybody is super pumped to have a consistent leading role in a team.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play defense this year.
Okay,
It's gonna
let's
be-
not get too far ahead. We still got to do your captain interview, bud. Let's not break
I'm
too
not,
much.
bro.
All
It's a
right.
nice
You think I'm
life.
playing over? You think I'm playing over Ty? Come on.
It's a nice life not having to ever
How's
get
that?
on the field on those hot summer days. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm hitting squats, guys.
Yeah.
I'm looking for more power this year.
All
There
right.
you go. Well, yeah, like you said, the dependability, when we were talking before the podcast, that you have two games, early games, Saturday and Sunday, you have early games. So that dependability, kind of maybe it's like transitioning from the Twins to the White Sox a little bit. Maybe
They're also probably close to the youngest team on average.
Yeah.
So makes sense that they should have to get up earlier than me. Right.
You're 1 year older though.
That's
Hey,
John.
chill.
John, that's 365 days of wearing and tearing on these bones. And you know how hard life can be nowadays.
You don't have much to deal with. I mean, soaking wet, you're probably like what, 140?
I'm
all
walking
bone.
there, just going through, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the deal too. You made a good point, Brian. Like Saturday morning, 7:15, first game. Rockies.
Mhm.
Horrible in the morning.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good point.
Not good, right? Great matchup. Like that's a strategic play for us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It'll be exciting. We'll jump to the Astros and we'll kind of, if we can, like take a look, guys, but we're going to touch on everybody. And I'll kind of lead us off and just say, hey, these are what I thought, and then you can add anything if you want. But when I looked at the Astros schedule, we finished with 4 straight away games was the big thing that kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah.
All of our home games are front loaded, which can be good because if we win a lot of those games, then we're going to be going into the back half of our schedule kind of up and everybody chasing us, but at the same time, like having to come off and be, playing sort of in that weaker position as the away game, especially leading into the playoffs, could be tough. So that was the thing that kind of stuck out to us, or to me. Did you guys see anything else with the Astros you'd think would maybe mention?
No, I think you're right. It's that 4 game at the very end there of just all away games. But I will tell you, there's some magic juice about being an away team in the SWBL. I mean, they didn't have an away championship winner for like 6 straight years until like 2 years ago or something like that. So I don't know. I wouldn't be
that can make or break. Like that puts a lot of pressure on depending on where you're at after the first 2 days. Like if your back's up against the wall, that's a tough 4 games.
Yeah. And it's it's Rockies, Yankees, A's, Orioles. So, we finish out the last 2 games in the division. But those other 2 games, they're not, I mean, like we said, we think the Rockies might be down a little bit, but they're still they made the playoffs every year. So you can't completely count them out. So
and then you got the Orioles too, who they're a tier 3 team, but like
but on paper they
should
be 3
be
Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah, I mean you got guys that are hitters and pitchers, and I mean they shouldn't be a tier 3 team. Right.
So
like we could all agree on that.
Yep, for sure. So then let's jump over to the A's. And based on when I was looking at the schedule for them, Saturday looks like a gauntlet for them. It looks like the day that they have just got to pull their socks up, go to work, and try to get through that day, even with 1 win, 2. If they can go 2-2 that day, that would be a huge victory. But they're running White Sox, Orioles, Rockies, Twins.
Yeah.
That is a tough game.
Yeah, we got that. We got him at 6:30 p.m. We're gonna put him to bed, nice quick mercy rule, and send them off so they can get ready for their 8 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
I think the A's, they have so many players that they're gonna be deep. So I think they'll have a lot of energy in the tank. So they might be able to handle a murder schedule like that, where it's just like game after game after game, better than other teams. Because again, I don't know, they could bat 6 as far as I can tell.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you make the good points associated to having a deep roster, sure. But my logic as a player and now captain has always been let your guys ride. Like, and I found that most people in this league legitimately, like maybe just not including Benware, have a really hard time managing a roster full of 6+ people.
Yeah,
You have grown men going out there. Right, like
What?
and Brian Edloe said, you've been doing it forever.
Oh yeah.
And to that point, even more, like Brian sat out 95% of the year last year. So to put the team in a better position. And the 5% he did come in, which is wild when you look at the stats associated with him actually playing, like home run, like I think it was like better, like 1,000%.
I did. I went 2 for 2 with 2 home runs. I slugged 4,000. I had 3 RBIs.
And they're like super clutch moments too.
Yeah. It was the Rockies. We won like by 1 run or 2 runs that game. So yeah, it was crazy. But
yeah, it gets increasingly hard when you have guys that want to play more, and if you're not willing to put your foot down in a firm but kind way in terms of how you communicate it, like things can blow up really fast with your team culture.
Yep.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's jump to the Expos. And we kind of talked about them with game 1, but the thing that stuck out to me was, so they have 6 games before Sunday. They'll be over halfway through before the second full day even starts.
Yeah. 50% of the games on day 1 are them.
Yeah. And then they're done by noon on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
And then they don't play again till the Toilet Bowl game, which is the last game of the year. So they have this huge break from noon on Sunday all the way to the last game of the season, which was kind of what I alluded to. I think it actually helps them because then they can just rage, third day and then have a nice late wake up that next day.
But their season's going to be determined by.
They'll know by then for sure. But
their season is determined after game 1. If they lose that game, they're not making the playoffs. There's no chance. If you look at the rest of the schedule, there's not enough wins that they can tie out. If they don't beat you guys, there's just no way.
Like if they go 0-2,
in
the first day they're done. And I don't mean to be just crapping on them.
I do.
But like I don't see it this year. I don't.
Yeah.
I do not see success in the slightest for the Expos this year, and that is my take.
Yeah. I was just looking at the first couple games. So they've got Astros, White Sox, Rockies, Yankees, White Sox, Orioles, all in the first 6 games.
Yeah.
That's brutal. You're right. If they don't win that, if they don't win the game 1, they're gonna be 0-6 probably.
Yeah, could be. They definitely have a shot. I mean, again, this is the same team that won the championship 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So not that crazy, or 3 years ago. But anyway, not that crazy to think.
Well, roster's different though, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they don't have Brett. They don't have.
And isn't
who else was on that?
No, it's Peter and not John. Let's see.
John's not there now. Also, and he was like the heart. So you've got Kevin, you've got Jack, you've got Jeremy Worrell now. You've got Jimmy.
They need Jeremy and Jimmy
to be there, and Germer's there.
Guys, what are we talking about?
I was just going through the roster. But yeah,
I know. But like I know what you're doing. I'm saying it in a way of like proving a point. And stats don't lie. But
although, do you remember? I think my wild card of the year might be Matt Germer. Do you remember last year how like every single time he'd be up, he would just hit a home run whenever they needed it?
He did. He was so clutch during their run to the championship too. Like every time he came up to bat in the playoffs, he was so clutch. Either get, a hit that drive in a winning run or hit a home run. He was very clutch. So
So, I mean, if Eggs puts together like a great season, and Jimmy's going to be there, and Matt puts in his clutch moments, and then Jeremy has been like a statistically good player under the radar for quite some time, I guess I could see it. Like I'm talking myself into now thinking that
but their defense is so suspect now.
I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid at all.
I tried my best.
I hear what you're saying, and it's like, yeah, we could play this what if hypothetical game all day, and it goes both ways. Like really good teams on paper could just crap the bed,
Yeah.
but
Well, the hard thing
when
too,
you let the data tell the story and like what's going to happen in the future historically, like
yeah, but right,
it's not
you
looking
know,
good.
a lot of people were probably saying similar things the year they did win. So nobody
I
saw
was.
So
That was the number one 3 years in a row.
yeah, let's jump to their opponent in the toilet bowl, the Marlins. So they have 3 games on Monday, which they're the only team that has that kind of schedule. So they've got the 8 a.m., the 10:15, and then that 11:45 toilet bowl game. So that was the thing that stuck out to me. You know, I think that they got probably the worst draw of anybody from a division standpoint, but you know, when you're that bottom team, and I've been there, like it just happens and feels like sometimes you're like, man, you can't even catch a break here. But
So let me ask you this, Brian,
Yeah.
real quick. Like you're talking about the division, and it slightly takes away from, you know, the Marlins at hand. Like, why did the White Sox get put as a tier 2 team, and why did the Orioles get put as a tier 3?
So it was based on basically the way that the players worked out. What they did was they took who finished better, right? So because you were on the Astros and you were the 3 seed in the playoffs, and then
Yeah, Jackson and Ty, which
Jackson
were Royals and
ended up-
Yankees.
yeah, they ended up in second place at the end and losing in the championship. But then you had, you know, I don't think the Royals barely made the playoffs, so that played into it too. And then you had, you know, the Brewers, they didn't make the playoffs, and the Expos didn't make the playoffs. So that's John and Peter, right? And then Brett too, because Brett was on the Expos. So all of that weighed into it. So when they were basically looking at the new teams and trying to decide where to put them based on last year's performance of the individual players that comprised each team, you got the bump into tier 2 while they stayed in tier 3. And mostly
so
because
you really knew about that. I was not.
Yeah, I mean,
response.
I asked a lot of questions about it, and it was mostly also because like you would have like one team had to replace where the Royals finished, and technically they would have been a tier 1 team, but because they disbanded and the way that things went out, it bumped the Astros actually to tier 1. And then because of the Brewers and the Expos finishing in tier 3, that's why they stayed and replaced kind of the Brewers that way. So that's kind of how it worked out and why it was that way on paper. They don't look like they both look like tier 1, tier 2 teams. So, but that's the way it kind of planned out this way. So, speaking of the Orioles, though, you know, the thing I wrote was it seems the most balanced, and mostly I saw that because you go away, home, away, home, away, home. Like it's very back and forth. It's got feels like pretty good breaks. You don't have huge waits, but you don't have, you know, too long. You've got 4 games Saturday, 4 games Sunday, and then your 1 game on Friday. I don't know. It just seemed like it either worked out that way or Sam was very careful about where he put his team.
Of course. I mean, that's always the answer. You think that the answer isn't that Sam schemes his way somehow, but I mean, the 12:30 p.m. slot is tough because that you can't get lunch before. Sometimes you're too rushed, and then you can kind of go after, but then you're eating like a mid-lunch dinner, and then they have a game at 5 p.m. and then you're supposed to go out after to get dinner. You're all sweaty. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's a good point, because like you look at Saturday and it's like, all right, unless you get breakfast before their first game,
which by the way, breakfast is provided to them by the hosts of the people who we're playing the games at. So
yeah, like convenient.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like 8:45 is they go 1 in, 1 off, 1 back.
Yeah.
On Saturday, and then they play at 12:30.
Yeah.
And it's like if I'm them, like I'm not eating my meal at 10 o'clock, because you're gonna what are you gonna do? Eat a late lunch at 3 and then not eat dinner? Like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any
Sounds
sense.
fishy. Sounds fishy.
Yeah. So that was my take on that. The Rockies, to me,
That was your take on that as well.
no, sorry, that wasn't my take. That was a very good point by John. I was kind of thinking ahead and talking too fast. My mouth was going faster than my brain. So
Life of a podcaster, man.
yeah, man.
Back
Still
and
working
forth,
out the
yeah.
kinks. But so my take on the Rockies, we'll jump to them. To me, it's like, so they've got a rough start based on their matchups and then a rough finish. They got Orioles, Yankees, and then they get a little bit of a break, Expos. And then they're ending with Twins, Astros, Marlins is kind of a cakewalk, and then Twins again. So that was kind of what I thought. Just it seemed kind of, I don't know, they're going to have a bit of a lull in the middle, which if they start slow could help. But then if they, start fast, it could kind of tear a little bit of the momentum down too. So.
Yeah. I think one thing that we always find ourselves in, the Twins, is weird situations in which we can lose and send a team that we want to the playoffs or win. And so it always seems like we find ourselves in that situation. I guarantee you that Rockies Twins game has some sort of implication to where, like, if we lose that game, then the Yankees don't get in, or if we lose that game, the A's do get in. It's going to happen. It always does every year. So I look to that one as being a big game for them. And I don't know necessarily us, but it will be a big game for the league, I think.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah, that's my take too.
Yeah. All right. All right. The last team we need to talk about, the Yankees. They notoriously have struggled on Saturdays. Saturdays have been a bit of trouble for them. And they've got the Orioles, the Rockies, and the White Sox on Saturday. So I wonder and they did make it to the championship again last year. And with the roller coaster that we seem to see out of them, it makes me wonder, does that come back into play? Maybe. I mean, you lose Jackson, but you gain Gus. So it feels pretty even there. If not a little bit more production at bat, even though Jackson, I think, is a great hitter and he just didn't get the at bats. But, with their history, that was kind of what the first day I looked at for the Yankees was, what was their schedule on Saturday, which I bet Scott will do too.
Yeah, I mean, I was a part of the majority of the up and down. So I'll validate your point there too. But man, what really sucks for them is that there's so much weight on Kevin's shoulders from a production and standpoint, like that we know that plays a toll on him physically and probably mentally as well, because we know that's all connected. But you would hope, right, that like the addition of Gus really allows them to, if there are any signs of a slump about to happen, Gus gets them out of that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, to your point, like on the mound, yeah, they lost Jackson, but they added Gus. That's a 1-2 Cy Young typical conversation. And then you throw in Gus's bat, where Jackson's getting on base a lot and he has a lot of clutch moments as of late in the box, but like, guys, Gus is always going to be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
And Jackson is not.
Yeah. Well, neither of you guys have played with Gus, correct?
No.
Correct. No.
So I'm looking at this Yankees roster and I'm looking at the old history of the Yankees, and I'm hearing people say, oh, adding Gus is such a great piece. And it is for sure. But I will tell you that weight you're talking about on Kevin's shoulders and just the fragility of Sam Bakula's performance, like he could just crack at any moment. And then adding Gus, the most pressure-filled person to have on a team of anybody in the league, it will absolutely break them. I mean, if you are...
See, I don't think so, though, because a lot of that pressure is gone this year. He's not a captain.
Oh,
Sam,
go Gus will find a way to make everybody real nervous for their futures if they don't hit a home run every at bat. If you turn around and you see Gus just silently looking, smiling after you strike out, you're starting to think like, oh my gosh, am I traded? Am I getting cut? Is he going to trade me to the Marlins? I don't know. But Gus has that power over people that if you are not 100% sure of yourself, he will knock you down as many pegs as you need and you will falter. So I can see that
you
happening.
sound like a really mentally weak person, Edloe.
Mhm.
Where if you walk in as a Clydesdale, just a straight stallion,
Yeah.
like
I've been
just flaunting the confidence of Johnny Bravo. Like, who
You'll get
cares what
through it.
Gus is fit? You'll get through it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I've
gotta walk in,
I've suffered firsthand at the hands of Gus. So I'm just saying it's a tough road.
yeah, I mean, look at you, man. Yeah, I get it.
I know. Look at you see the bags under these eyes? Those are Gus.
Those are
kicking out
Gus.
to the
Those are Gus
Royals.
bags.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well then, so based on everything we've talked about, who has the roughest schedule? Like, whose schedule do you not want?
I think yours, man. I think the Astros. There are a lot of points that were made in how the championship or the playoff spots come down to those last few games, and I think as much as I have confidence in your team, like the last 4 games are going to be a defining factor for probably every single team. And to be away in all of your last 4 games of the season, it's just a really, really hard spot. And we were talking about it earlier too, like the Expos, yeah, like their season's going to be decided pretty early on. But I don't think they're going to be a contender. So I'm not even like, who cares how slanted your schedule is if you're not going to be a contender? Sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think it's very underrated how that first game being like what is it, a week or 2 weeks before the start of the season,
Mhm.
how that can mentally affect a team. And so I have to agree with John that the Astros schedule, your guys' schedule is it either can be very tough, which it looks tough, or it could be very good based on however that first game is. Because if you win that game and you go 1-0 and you have 2 weeks to sit on it, that is a completely different Friday or Saturday schedule you're walking into. Because holy cow.
well, it's a completely different 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like leading up to that, and it's both ways, right? It's like if you're on the loss side, your 2 weeks is really crappy because you're the only team going into the actual tournament weekend with a loss.
Yeah.
That's right.
But if you're on the other side and you got to win, you get a 10-inch crank, right? You're like, hey,
Yeah.
we did this. We're ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Orioles Astros game at 11 a.m. on Monday has a lot of implications. I think that not to jump, but I think the Yankees and the White Sox at 9:30 a.m. I think that's my game of the year. But very close second, I think, is that Astros Orioles game. I can see that one having a lot of implications.
Yeah. Monday should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I do like that Sam did put a lot of divisional games on that final day.
Yeah.
You make it a lot of fun for sure. So, all right, well, let's do a quick game, and it's just, we're going to pick wins for each team, over under. Okay. And we'll go, John, you'll take the first one, but I want answers from both of you, but John, you'll go first on the first one, and then we'll kind of flip the order. So not one person's having to go first each time. All right.
Okay.
Astros over under 6.5 wins.
Over.
I think 6. I think that's a push. I could see them get. I could see
6.5. It's 6.5 is the line.
Excuse me. Then it's 6, and it's under. It's under. You guys are going to push, and you guys are going to win a half of a game, and then it's going to get rained. No, yeah, I under that for sure.
Yeah. A's 5.5.
I think I'm going. I can't go under for everybody, but this one's an under too. I think they're under there as well. I can't see them putting 5, 6, 7 in a row or period. So
I take the under as well, and it will echo Edloe's point. I just can't see them stringing much together. Might get some wins here and there, with that schedule. But here's the deal with them: they're either going to be Here's my hot take. I say under 3 or they're winning 8.
Ooh, okay.
Like I
Alright.
don't think there's a middle ground for them.
Yeah, Chris Vorbeck's a good player, and I think if they like really do a good job of roster management, they could win some. But like you said, it's a good point. I could also see him losing a lot.
Yeah. And I should have prefaced this with, I'm not a professional bookie of any kind. So I did my best on making these
How do I
lines.
design it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Exposed 2.5. 2.
Ooh,
Shit on him one time, Benware. Jeez.
I mean, so they only won 2. They only won 2 last year.
I know, but I'm gonna
And-
say under because I'm riding that train until I die for the season on what they're gonna do. I'm saying under.
Plus, they got the Yankees and the White Sox in their division. That was kind of why I thought 2.5.
Yeah, and I have to say under then.
yeah. I'm looking and I'm trying to find. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can.
Like you'd almost rather be like, can you give me a max win amount that
Yeah,
they'll get? And I would say 3.5. 3.5 is that. Like,
I don't think I
they're
can
not.
find
They're
3.
not going to win a lot of games.
Yeah, I don't think I can find 3. So you said 2.5.
Yeah.
They'll have some weird magic going on. I'll say over, but I think it's gonna be like 3 or 4.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's hard to find that.
Sorry, should have kept track of this. Same line, Marlins, 2.5.
That one to me is under. That's 2. I'm looking at him and I can see 2 right there. I could also see them sneaking one in against us because we traditionally like shit the bed on games like that. So, but I still think I can see 1 for sure that I think is a good game for them. No, you know what? At 2.5, I'll go over. I'll say Marlins get 3 with a possibility to sneak a 4th. I can see it in the schedule right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think that they might be able to squeak out some luck in some matchups simply because opposing schedules.
Yep.
Cool. Orioles, 6.5.
John's
When
like,
you start getting it, yeah, I think so. When you start getting into those lines and those teams, like this is where it gets really hard to make your decision. I'm gonna say under.
gosh.
Yeah, I mean it's not gonna be my much. Like, but at the same time, like I think that they could sneak in.
Yeah.
With under that and still clinch like a wild card spot.
Yeah. That's a good line, Brian. You said you're not a professional gambler, but I think that is a good line because I'm looking at it and I'm seeing, and I can talk myself into both ways, but I think I'm actually going to go over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys split on Astros too, and that was kind of my thought. They have the same. I set the same line for both those teams because I feel like it's going to.
And we split on both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to come down to one win between the two teams on who takes that division.
You're exactly right. And when is that last game? But
Yeah.
11 a.m. Monday.
11 a.m. Somebody made a pretty good point, I think, a few minutes ago.
It's probably me. So.
Yeah. Rockies, 6.5.
Rocky.
It's a lot of 6.5s, by the way.
I don't know about 6.5. I think 6.5 seems mighty rich for my blood. If I'm a betting man and I'm looking at the schedule and the Rockies are down a player, trying to pick up some new guys. Although, can I say something? That I'm sorry, I forget his name. The pitcher that they had last year.
It's Katie's.
I knew
Katie's
Chad.
brother, right?
Yeah.
First of all, outstanding guy, of course. But his knuckleball is absolutely, when it's on, better than Jimmy Nelson's knuckleball.
Ooh.
That ball, when I was in at bat a couple of times, that thing was legitimately doing corkscrews at me. And I was like taken out of the box and like getting people to come look at this and be like, what is going on?
This is illegal. He's using some
it-
substance.
It felt like it. It didn't hit strikes when it was against me, but if he gets that and that pitches on, like that is a legitimate, that he could pitch it every single time and then people are not going to be able to hit him super hard. So
It
that
was
being
also a pretty
said-
humid year, Edloe, and your glasses were fogged up.
yeah, I just couldn't see. I wore glasses last year. Didn't even realize it in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like they had, but anyway,
Glaucoma's flaring up.
could be.
So, sorry.
I think that's still below 6.5. If 6.5 is the number, it's still below. But I wanted to take a moment to give my admiration for that knuckleball.
I have a pretty blunt approach to quite a few teams this year, and I'm going the under on the Rockies.
Hard under.
All right.
Like I would set the line at like 4.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
I see.
Twins, 8.5.
That's high. Is that the highest over under of anybody?
Has to be.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the schedule, and again, like I said, that one year, I guess it was last year. Were we ranked number 1 last year? Is that what it was? Pre-ranked or whatever?
Broke the curse. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm envisioning in my head the end scores of some of these games, and I could see them being close, but I can also truly in my bones feel a 10-0 season. So I'm going over. I'm going over 8.5.
See, I'm gonna go under because I think this year is gonna be a destructive season. Not from a record or win perspective. I think your culture is gonna really drop off a cliff. I think there are gonna be guys that are gonna be wanting to switch after this year, and maybe I'm starting a rumor mill, but like I've heard conversations being had of like, hey, do you think this would be a good fit after season 20, right? And again, like I might be just like poking you with a stick here, but I might not be, and maybe I was in the middle of those conversations too.
Well, I mean, I assure you that you are more connected to any sort of rumor mill than I am at this point.
John, I'll be calling you after we get done with this for sure.
Well, that's not surprising because I still to this day, I have not been re-signed for my new 10-year deal. So I could walk out game 1. I could say I'm out.
I mean, and for all Brian knows is like maybe Edloe and I are the ones having the conversation with him. No, we're not. But I'm gonna take the over on the Twins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. But again, I think that some of the people on that team like change, and they're gonna want to shake things up after this year.
Yeah.
All right.
Like me, I'm gonna definitely leverage my
Edloe
to get a new deal.
There you go. White Sox, 6.5.
Am I going first?
I think it'll be.
No.
Okay. I think this is your 3rd time in a row going first, but
whatever.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right.
No,
I guess.
Sorry, you have it. No, hey, actually, no, Edloe. I'm not going to answer this one.
Oh, okay.
I want Edloe to take a couple minutes and really dive deep into that brain of his, like he always does, and just let it rip.
Yeah. So, I gotta say that of the 8, 6, and 5 teams that there are,
yeah.
To me, I like the White Sox the best. Those are my of the. I guess you said it's the Astros 6 and 5 as well.
Yeah, so it was the Astros, the Orioles, Rockies, and White Sox.
Yeah, of those, for sure, I think the White Sox have the best opportunity to go over. I mean, I'm interested to see the Yankees one, but I won't jump the boat on that. I think there's a lot of players who, like, especially Derek, to me, is like a next level kind of guy. See if he can take the next step in like the MVP direction. And John, I know that you always have production. Ty, I feel like did he have a down year last year, or did it just feel like that?
I don't think he did though, Brian, right? When we looked at stats, he was a top, I think, 11.
Yeah. But
he didn't get ranked this year. That's probably why you feel that.
He was a little streaky. And so I feel like it depends on what part of the season you remember of his.
Was his beginning like really bad? I feel like he
felt like he started pretty slow.
And that makes sense. That because it felt like after day 1, it was like, oh, Ty's just having an off year, and I didn't pay attention to the next 2. So,
and the Royals struggled a bit too. So nobody's going to put the blame on Ty or on Gus or Sam. So
I will. 100% I will.
So they turn to Ty, and they just say kind of like what nothing against you, Edloe, but everybody always says like the Twins go as Edloe goes. Like when you're hot, you guys are so hard to beat. But when you're
That's-
slumping, teams have a little bit better chance. And I think that's how they viewed the Royals. Is if
Sure.
I was slumping, like there was an opportunity. And so then therefore, if they struggle, they just blame Ty and think he had a bad season, which wasn't necessarily
Right.
the case.
Right.
He was his OBA was 525 last year.
Yeah.
Well, I like your implication, Brian, and I agree with the fact that I am the most important member of the Twins. So I agree with that. But yeah, I think if you look at this team and say that Ty is the barometer, because I like Leon. I'm high on Leon as well, and Jackson's always going to be there too. So yeah, good point, Brian. I think if Ty is the barometer and he had a better year than last year and doesn't start off slow, then I definitely think this White Sox is over 6.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I put the line, Johns, just so you know why I thought that was like one. Technically, you're 0-0. We've never seen you play as a team together, so there's a touch unknown. But at the same time, we know who your ace is, and we know you have pitching depth, but we don't know exactly how that number 2 spot's going to transpire. And then,
Right.
Who is your number 2 pitcher?
I mean, we have Ty, who has pitched before, right?
Yeah.
And contrary to our positions that I will not disclose per Brian's request, everybody can kind of play everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
Like
and
everybody, like I'm the only one on that roster that hasn't thrown a pitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, and then I'm blanking on his name. We just talked about him.
Leon.
Derek. Thank you. Derek pitched for the Brewers last year. Got a
Right.
couple innings in and actually pitched pretty well, but he only got we only got a little bit. So that was kind of why I was like, there's a little unknown until we see it out there. Like, I'm just going to kind of put this around where like my minimum expectation is 6.
Yeah. Like you're
But
doing.
I wouldn't be surprised to see 8,
Right.
And
it's like, and here's the reality too, is like we see this all the time. It's like new teams, we come out and just flop. Like, but like, I mean, I don't believe that.
I don't think
right.
it
I can't
does,
believe.
but
But like, it's one of those things where it's like we could be, and it could just be by the strength of the games, right? Like we could lose. Any team could lose by 1 run every single game.
yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, again, I know I said I wouldn't answer it, but like, I'm going to take the over on it. But it's just one of those things, like speaking towards the team chemistry and like the stars are aligned, right? Like good team chemistry, the skill is there, you have depth. You just never know how this thing's going to shake out, man. Like you don't know that.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, last team, Yankees, 7.5.
Yeah. I'm high on all the guys there. Obviously I got a lot of Yankee blood in me. Spent a lot of my time there. Gosh, man, that's a tough line. But again, like on paper, totally possible.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna take the under, and that's like in strong consideration or thought process, just because that is a higher line, right? Similar to the Twins. I think Yankees have a lot more to prove, and they're not as consistent as the Twins. But I think like a realistic number for them too is they're really close to 7.5, right?
Yeah.
Like seven's really good. Like they could probably do that this year,
Mhm.
but they don't have the rapport with the league with this team to say, yep, 100% 8-game winner like the Twins do, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of those things. Like I said, I've already had my opinions on what Gus's effect on this team is going to be. And we all know this is just a stopping place for Gus. He's just going to keep jumping around every year. So they know that too. They're just being used. He's just going to get in there, get his reps, maybe try and win a championship. But it's just the fact is Gus is cursed. He's
going to reunite with Sam at some point.
There's some sort of there's some sort of ulterior thing brewing here that the Skibbies are 6 or 7 steps ahead of us that none of us have even had an idea of yet. But yeah, this is a stopping place on the next. I wouldn't be surprised if Sam texted him day after season 19 and said, hey, Gus, you're going to the Yankees. We got to do this for 1 year before we do blank, blank, and we'll figure out what that is. But yeah, I think if it's 7.5, I do think that if I have the White Sox over 6.5, I do have the Expos under. So there's a chance that they could get to 7. And that's a tough division, but I think it'll come down. I'm going to go under. I can just see them getting in their own heads. I could see you guys matching up really good against them, Brian, and taking at least one from, or taking that one from them. I could see that, but
saying to your point, Edloe, it's like you took the White Sox over, so you're betting on us to win that division.
I think you guys are. To me, I think you guys are the favorite in that division. Yeah, maybe not on paper technically because Gus, right, whatever, but I do think you guys.
Well, we have no paper.
That's exactly right.
There's nothing here.
Yeah.
It's just our names, right? But I think there's something that you pointed out, and I would say in a lot of confidence that like the conversations might not have gone down the way that you just explained between the Skibby brothers, but things were happening, right? And when you look at, and this is a take of mine, like, all right, next year, like both of those guys have opt-out clauses, right? So, and we know that they want to reunite. That plan, whoever they want that third cornerstone to be, has already been talked to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I think. I think, and this impacts you, Edloe, is Sam and Gus, they're not going to be, neither of them is going to be a captain on the next team. They're going to be on the same team. But I'll tell you who's going to leave their team, and it's going to be Spencer Bogad.
You think?
And I think it's going to be
captain
Spencer.
Since he was the Indians captain, right?
And I think Bogad's going to leave the Twins and going to collude some way with the Skibby brothers and create the Golden State Warriors of the SWBL.
Right. Well, I will tell you, just so you know, that I do have a murder-suicide pact with Spencer that I will kill him if he leaves my team. Just so you know, that is part of it, that I will kill him. So.
Well, maybe you're the fourth going with him.
Yeah. Oh, we're bringing Edloe.
Maybe that's
it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Who knows? Yeah, I could see it happening for sure. So, all right. Well, thanks for that. I mean, we spent a lot of time on the schedule. The last topic I want to cover is something I'm calling the unknown. So this is not something that they are aware is happening, but it's basically a 5-question.
Can you tell me what this is about again? Can you define unknown real quick? It's what we don't know. Did I catch that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sorry.
It's all right. So basically, it's a little bit to get to know these guys on a bit of a personal level. There'll still be some SWBL takes in here, but it's really just to bring a little bit of life to these individuals and let us get to know each other a little bit better. So we'll kind of do the same thing, just both the answer, but take turns going first. So Edloe, you're going to go first this time. What is your go-to St. Patrick's Day drink?
Well, I'm actually drinking it right now, and it's blurred out.
It's like Guinness. Okay.
Yeah.
Guinness.
Surprisingly, like, so talked about a lot as a kind of a well-known beer, but really still a good beer. I think properly rated, maybe even underrated for how popular it is. I do like them on St. Patrick's Day, but it's about one of the only days I buy them. So
all right.
Yes.
Johnny.
Okay. Well, I feel like we are like obligated to say whatever we're drinking right now.
We are recording on St. Patrick's Day. I didn't say that, but
yeah. So I'm just gonna go with the Modelo with lime.
Yeah.
Super diverse, applies to a lot of holidays and casual scenes. So yeah, Modelo Especial.
There we go. Very Irish.
Super Irish.
Right.
Very Irish.
Who is your favorite player not on your current team to watch in the SWBL? Like, who are you just a fan of?
I go first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, that's really tough. Man, I don't want to give like just like a super cliche answer, like one of the top three guys that's always an MVP race.
Mhm.
And I would have said Ty here because I really like how he hustles and works hard. Like I like dirtbags, right? In the sense of like they're scrappy, they're gamers, they work hard. Um, so maybe on to that point, I will say Cam Smith. Um,
Ah,
he has a lot of tenacity.
Mhm.
He can shove on the mound, but to an extent, he's almost an entertainer at the same time.
Nice.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
answer.
I think my favorite person to watch play is Paul Castellano. I feel like he's got the old, heritage of winning all these championships, and then he's going to play for the love of the game, for the A's. And I do think still to this day that when Paul is on and his left to right fastball is coming in on a right-hander, I still think he's got a great pitch, and he can shut out some teams if he's on. So he's always been one of my favorites to watch, and just a very stoic personality too. You can't get anything out of him. I try and make him laugh when he's playing, and he doesn't break ever. So yeah, he's my favorite player to watch.
Yeah,
Not like
he got brought up in a previous podcast, but he's one of the only people in the league that's been nationally ranked in all three facets:
oh
hitting,
wow,
fielding, and pitching.
dang,
So do it all guy for sure.
yeah,
All
And
right.
he does it all in tennis shoes.
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's an underrated point.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine how good he would be if he
Imagine if he
decided
wore
to.
cleats.
Yeah,
Right.
Jesus.
Crazy. All right. You both have been in the league for a long time. So bring back one alumnus to play for your team.
Lord, I'll go first on that one.
We are having the alumni game, which is why I thought of this question, but
Do you have the rosters for the alumni game?
they were tweeted out recently, or at least a few of the players who are confirmed coming are.
Edloe, are you going to research that real quick?
Yeah, so here so far, this is the people who are confirmed. That doesn't mean this is the entire list. Andy Oldenburg, Rob Walters, Grant Stewart, Corey Griffin, Craig
Boyd?
Yeah, maybe.
Boyd,
Chris
yeah.
Whitehead, Ken Shippey, Andrew Light, Nick Meyer, Dave Meny, maybe Jeff Bertram.
Maybe Jeff Bertram.
That's what it says. Not confirmed.
Chopper.
Yeah, so you mentioned very quickly that I played in the league for a long time. I'm actually one of the few players to have played in the first season, actually.
Yeah.
So I need to talk to Sam and get that written in my bio that I am a 20-year veteran of the league. But I think my player that I would take is an old guy that not many people know about. His name is David Shores. He didn't care very much to play. He was like, too cool, kind of just, I think swung one-handed, but he was always one of those guys who was a real blue collar player, put it all on the line. And I think his career average may be one of the worst ever, but I think I'd like to bring him back just to see how he's doing,
Awesome.
Yeah. So I knew mine the second you asked the question. To give you guys an idea of why I chose him, it goes back a little bit. A lot of these guys graduated with my older brother, Austin. And my freshman year of summer ball, we won state. And that coaching staff consisted of a bunch of 18 and 19-year-old dudes. And it was Mike McNichols, Dave French, Roger Birch, and my choice, Andy Oldenburg.
Ah, good call. Is he
on
the Expos right now?
No.
Oh,
but the
okay.
roots run deep there. There's some history, there's some success. Stand-up character guy.
Mm-hmm.
His dad scared the shit out of me when we were at South. I'm just kidding. He was actually a fantastic administrator. But yeah, Andy's for sure my pick. That dude's rock solid, and He would be an instant 2-point plus in culture if he was on a roster.
Good pick. Good pick.
Nice. All right. In a made for television movie, who would play you in your life story?
Yeah. So this is just like who you want to play.
I guess. So. Yeah.
Hopefully I don't say some cheese dick. Like, man, I've always. I'm gonna sound like I've been thinking about this for a long time now. Maybe like Jason Bateman.
All right.
I can see that.
Like just like casual at times, kind of a wild card at times, but hopefully pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just plays a lot of different roles in a lot of different movies and shows, so I think it'd be a good fit. He could fit the mold
for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
I don't know.
Do you think this guy looks like me?
Oh.
Scooby-Doo, Matthew Lillard, dude, that's a summer catch.
Does he look like me?
I could see that. Yeah,
you could see him playing you for sure. Yeah,
people have come up to me at like the bar in Columbia when I was in college and asked me if I was him multiple times, and people would be like, "Do you know who you look like?" And before they even finish, like, "Yeah, I look like the fucking guy from Scooby-Doo." I get it. So I'd have to be Matthew Lillard, but that's what everybody always says that I have looked like for my entire life.
Yeah.
So looking at that Edloe though, like you guys probably have a lot of the same, at least on screen, how he acts from a comedic perspective.
Sure.
Like you guys seem pretty similar.
Yep. I won't deny it at this point.
Seems
Like,
like
I
a
usually
slam
mad about
dunk
it because
for
people
sure.
bring it up, but it's like, yeah, no, that it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Seems like a slam dunk for sure. All right. Last question. It's a scenario, and then I'll lead to the question. You're in the woods by yourself. Daytime, nighttime, doesn't matter, whatever. You come across Sasquatch. What is your go-to protocol for a Sasquatch?
That is the only context of like what's happening.
You're in the woods. You come
like
across
we're not
Sasquatch.
in danger. He's not gonna hurt us.
Well, I don't know. What's your go-to? Yeah, what's your go-to protocol?
Yeah, what you say next leads to what could happen.
Interesting. So first of all, obviously pulling out your camera, right? You got to try and snap a pic because I'm thinking about how much that pic sells for. But then as I say that, I'm realizing that no matter how good of a pic of Sasquatch you get, people are going to say it's fake.
Yep.
Nobody's ever going to admit like, yeah, no, that looks real. They're going to say Photoshopped. So I'm putting the phone away then at that point. I'm grabbing the beef jerky from my pocket because I never go in the woods without beef jerky. And I'm just offering a sign of peace. If he doesn't take it and he mauls me to death, I am comfortable living with the fact that like I at least went for it and just tried to have that moment with him. But if he didn't want it, he didn't want it, So if he mauls me, then that's what happens. But yeah, I'm taking the beef jerky out. I'm offering it and seeing where that takes me.
Yeah, see, Edloe, that's like a very. I want to give a polar approach here on how we answer this, and sometimes I want to be that guy, right? And I think what a crazy story it would be to be the one that not only saw and found Sasquatch, but detained him. And yeah, so I think I would, because like I can make up whatever I have in my pocket, right?
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's your
has
protocol. So
like
it's
full
your plan
rounds
for this scenario.
4 rounds of the heaviest
tranquilizer
guns in the game, and just like rapid fire them off in him, calling the boys, helicopter him out, probably in a one of those big old rope sacks. And he's just all sorts of caught in everything.
Sure.
Get him in a spot that detains him, and then we run the test and find out it's not fake, and then it all comes to light.
Millions.
And I call it Sasquatch.
Solid answer for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for being on here. Real quick, let me just thank our sponsors, 1356 Public House, Reuben Brown, Ketting Eye Center, Corner Pub and Grill, Cardinal Blinds and Shutters, Breckenridge Brewery, Logix, High Road Craft Ice Cream, STL Cycle Saloon, Lion's Choice, Amp Up Action Park, Andy's Frozen Custard, and Daily Smokehouse. We are full on sponsorship mode right now. Thanks again, guys, for being on. This has been one of the more fun podcasts I've gotten to do this year. And I kind of knew it was going to be that when I asked the two of you to join me for sure. So any final thoughts, anything you want the fans to know about before we take off?
John, you want to go first or second?
I don't have much. It's more so towards the sponsorship, new additions. Thank you. Like Benware said, one of them is a customer of my company, Logix, High Road Craft Ice Cream. If you guys do have an opportunity to have their ice cream before they send their donated goods to the tournament, do so. It's the best damn ice cream you'll ever eat in the world. Check them out online. You can get some sent to you, but we'll have the fixins sent to the tournament and you'll be a loyal customer to them forever. Best ice cream you'll ever eat.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, nobody has directly, paid me or sponsored me in any way. So I am available for sponsorship.
Yep.
And I technically don't endorse any of the products yet because I have not tried them, but maybe some point somebody will sway me. But no, I'm just looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to game 1. Make sure you watch that on YouTube and comment, like, subscribe after you see that. And any prospective employers that want me to be an announcer, just go ahead and reach out. You got my Twitter and Facebook, and I'm available to hire. And I'm looking forward to the season. Thanks for having us, Bryan.
Yeah, me too, man. It's getting close. I got my tank on because we got tank weather finally. Hopefully it sticks around, but we are inching closer to season 20 and the epic culmination of this year. So got a couple more, a lot more podcasts coming at you. Like I said, we got captain interviews coming up. Those are being recorded as we speak. And we've got the power rankings coming. We are voting on those currently with the front office. So you'll have a podcast about that prior to the season. But that's it, guys. I appreciate you being on. And we'll have to do it again soon.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks. We'll see ya.